I'm Clara Vance, 33. Last spring, at a charity dinner meant to celebrate motherhood, the woman who was supposed to be my future mother-in-law stepped up to a podium, pointed straight at my mother, and said 4 words that unraveled everything. She didn't whisper them, she didn't stumble. She smiled right into the mic while my fiancé chuckled along with the crowd. I didn't argue. I didn't cause a scene. I just took my mom's arm, stood up, and left. Outside, in the cool Texas night, I opened my phone, dialed one number, and said, "Send it through." What they didn't know was that I'd spent 7 months putting together a binder. Every page had their fingerprints on it. But to understand why I made that call, you have to go back to the beginning. Welcome to Quiet Resolve. Stories where dignity outlasts drama. If you've ever had to pick between silence and protecting the people who raised you, stay with me. Drop your thoughts below and subscribe if this resonates. It started the way these things always do, with an invitation I should have ignored. I grew up in East Austin. Apartment 3 billion, walk upstairs. My mom worked as a community health outreach coordinator for a county clinic, not as a doctor. As the person who knocked on doors, translated forms, and made sure families actually got to appointments. $39,000 a year, and she stretched it like it was double. Dinner was usually beans and rice, not because we were broke, but because she didn't get home until 10:30. I learned early how to run the stove without setting off the smoke alarm. I did homework under a flickering overhead light while she slept on the couch in scrubs. She never complained, not once. When I got into Texas A&M, she ironed my one decent blouse before every campus tour. She drove me in a sedan that rattled past 60, and dropped me off at the admissions office like she was handing me a future she'd paid for in night shifts. I studied public administration, passed the state procurement certification on the first try, got hired auditing municipal contracts in Houston, spent 7 years tracing grant disbursements, vendor invoices, and compliance logs. Then I went independent, nonprofit grant auditing, the kind of work where you read ledgers the way investigators read case files. By 33, I was making $98,000 a year. Not wealthy, not scraping by. Comfortable in a way my mom never was. That was the point. I thought the grind was behind me. I thought the years of microwave meals and pressed collars had earned me a seat at a table where people would actually see my work. I was off by about $375,000. I met Julian Hayes at a civic leadership summit in Round Rock. He managed partnerships for the Hayes Community Trust. Budget, $2.4 million a year. His mother chaired the board. His father handled treasury. I told him my mom worked county health outreach. He said, "That's the backbone of any community." I believed him. 6 months in, he brought me home. The Hayes place sat on a hill in Westlake Hills. 7 bedrooms, curved driveway, azaleas trimmed like they came with a stylist. Alina opened the door in silk. Richard stood behind her in a tailored blazer. Dinner was duck breast. Fine china, real silver. Alina asked about my family. I told her my dad left when I was 6. She paused, set down her wine glass, let the quiet stretch until it felt like a judgment. Richard asked what my mom did. I said county outreach. He nodded once, changed the subject to Napa vintages, then Alina laughed, light, practiced. The kind that doesn't come from humor, it comes from habit. "How quaint," she said. I'd hear that laugh again. In front of 500 people. Over 14 months, Alina built a rhythm so steady you could calendar it. First, the bridal brunch. Mom wasn't on the list. When I asked, Alina tilted her head. I assumed she wouldn't feel at ease with the donors. She said it like you'd explain why a kid isn't invited to an adult dinner. Gentle, pity stitched into every syllable. Christmas came next. Alina handed me a $500 Lululemon set. She handed my mom a $15 Target candle. In front of everyone. Mom said thank you. Alina said, kept it simple for her. Then the seating chart. I overheard Alina on the phone with Julian 3 weeks before the dinner. Voice low. Kitchen carried it anyway. Keep her away from the Sterling table. I don't want awkward questions. I stood in the hall with a glass of water. Listened to my fiancé say nothing. Aunt Caroline started texting me links. How to navigate old money Texas families, what to expect when marrying into established names. Every message ended with a smiley face. Like condescension came with a discount code. I told Julian about it all, the guest list, The candle, the seating chart, the texts. He rubbed the back of his neck. His tell, the way he did when he wanted a conversation to die. That's just her way, he said. She's trying. 5 words, his entire defense of my mother. Mom visited on a Tuesday, sat at my kitchen table, flipped through wedding magazines stacked by the toaster, didn't ask about seating. Didn't mention the candle, just turned pages slowly. Stopped at a photo of a bride walking down an aisle with her mother. You okay, sweetheart? I looked at her. 59. Hands worn from decades of navigating clinics, filling out Medicaid forms, holding hands for families who'd never make it home. Hair silvering at the temples, eyes steady. Yeah, I said. She paused, set the magazine down. Then I am. She knew. Mom wasn't naive. She'd survived 25 years of split shifts, a husband who vanished, and a system that paid her less than a starting barista. She could read a room faster than I could read a compliance ledger. She reached into her purse, pulled out a small box. Inside, a brooch, tiny silver leaves on a bronze clasp. She turned it in the light. For the dinner, she said, I want to look presentable. $9, thrift store clearance. I knew by the faded tag on the back. My throat tightened. I almost cried. I didn't. It's perfect, Mom. She pinned it to her blouse, smiled, then said something I didn't fully grasp until much later. Never trade your quiet for their noise. Mom had survived everything life handed her. She shouldn't have to survive a leaner Hayes, too. The Hayes Community Trust had been around for 21 years. Funded youth tutoring, summer meal programs, weekend health camps across 3 counties. $2.4 million in annual donations. A spring dinner every year. A newsletter with a leaner's photo on the front, smiling next to kids who depended on the money she raised. On paper, it looked like everything a community foundation should be. Julian asked for help in January. 4 months before the dinner. Annual compliance review needed. Their regular consultant retired. Just a quick glance, he said. You're sharp at this. Favor for us. I agreed. I wanted to help. I wanted a leaner to see me as capable. Competent, someone who belonged at that table. I know how that sounds now. The trust's office was downtown Austin, 3rd floor above a medical supply distributor. Julian gave me a key, pointed to the filing cabinet in the corner. Manila folders, red tabs along the top. I opened the first. Vendor invoices, payment approvals, bank routing confirmations, standard nonprofit paperwork. First few looked clean. The 4th didn't. Billed to Oak Ridge Advisory Group. $125,000 for community outreach consulting. I turned the page. Same company, same amount, previous year, and the year before. 3 years, 3 identical invoices. $375,000 to a vendor I'd never heard of. I pulled the folder, set it on the desk, stared at the red tab pointing up like a small flag, searched for Oak Ridge that night. No website, no LinkedIn. No BBB listing. No Texas SOS registration. No Louisiana, no Oklahoma. Widened the search. Delaware, where shell companies go to disappear. There it was. Oak Ridge Advisory Group LLC. Registered 16 months after the trust's first fiscal year. Registered agent, a mailbox service in Wilmington. 0 employees, no office, no phone. I pulled bank routing numbers from the approvals. Cross-referenced them against trust disbursement logs. Every payment to Oak Ridge went to a single account at a regional bank in Travis County. The account was under the name Hayes Vaughn. Vaughn was a leaner's maiden name. 3 years. $375,000 siphoned from a nonprofit meant for at-risk youth into a personal account owned by the woman who chaired its board. In my field, there's a word for that. Diversion of funds. I didn't panic. I didn't call anyone. I copied every invoice, every routing slip, every authorization, photographed the folder, built a binder, digital and physical, table of contents, timeline. That's what compliance auditors do. We build binders. We let numbers tell stories people can't talk their way out of. When I finished, it was 2:15 a.m. I sat at my desk. Binder closed, thought about next steps. 2 choices, tell Julian, let him handle it privately. Or go straight to the Texas State Auditor's Charitable Compliance Division. I chose Julian first. That was my mistake. I showed him the binder on a Saturday morning. His coffee cooled on the counter while he flipped pages. His face shifted 3 times. Confusion, recognition, fear. There's gotta be a reason, he said. Yeah, I said, it's called misappropriation. He closed the binder, rubbed his neck, stood, walked to the window, stared out for a long time. Let me handle it with them, he said. Give me 90 days, we'll correct it quietly. No one needs to know. I should have said no, I know that now, but love blurs lines. And love makes you hand extensions to people who don't earn them. 90 days, I said. If it's not resolved, I report it. He agreed, nodded like he was waking up, kissed my forehead, left for his parents' house. I watched his truck pull out, counted the reasons I should have called the state auditor right then. After that, things shifted. Julian pulled back, canceled 2 dinners, stopped mentioning his parents. When I asked about the trust, he changed the subject. One night he came over for takeout, saw the binder on my table, read tabs up. What's that? He asked. Paperwork, I said. He stared at it 3 seconds too long. Opened his container. 90 days. 90 days of hoping the man I loved would pick truth over legacy. Month 1. Julian said he'd talked to his parents, asked what they said. They're reviewing it. Asked for details. None yet, I let it go. Month 2. Checked trust disbursement logs. Oak Ridge got another $31,000, authorized, cleared. Whatever Julian told them, it hadn't slowed a leaner by a single dollar. I showed him the new invoice. He went quiet. I told my dad, he finally said. He called it a clerical mix-up. A mix-up doesn't register an LLC in Delaware, Julian. He had nothing for that, grabbed his keys, said he needed air. Month 3. Annual review 6 weeks out. Spring dinner 2 weeks after that. I sat him down, same table, same binder, same red tabs, laid it out. You stalled or they ignored you. Either way, $375,000 is gone from kids who need it. I'm the only one here with a professional certification on the line. He stared at the binder. I'll fix it, time's up. That night I called my colleague, Marcus, former state auditor, now private consultant, told him to finalize the report, hold it. I need one thing, I said, a public record. Dinner in 18 days. I wasn't waiting anymore, I was positioning. Alina announced the dinner agenda in the Trust's April newsletter. Theme, Legacies of Care, tribute segment, slideshow, her speech, honoring the mothers of the Hayes community. 500 confirmed. Politicians, donors, school board members, 2 reporters from the Austin Monitor. The entire social circle that orbited Alina like satellites around an expensive sun. She called me 11 days out, voice smooth, measured. The way it always was right before a condescending line. Your mother's welcome, of course, just ensure she's comfortable. These rooms can intimidate folks not used to them. She's at my table, I said, pause. Of course, Aunt Caroline texted that afternoon. Heard she's coming, so courageous, smiling face with smiling eyes. I set my phone down, stared at it, full minute, then I almost called Marcus. Thumb hovered over his name, not yet, binder in my car. Copy in Marcus's safe. Encrypted drive in my desk. 7 months of work. 12 more days wouldn't shift the math. But standing in my kitchen, I decided, if Alina wanted an audience, she'd get one. 9 days out, file complete. Night before the dinner, Mom tried her dress in my bathroom. Kohl's clearance, forest green, simple lines, fit well, better than expected. She smoothed the fabric, turned in the mirror. Not bad for 59, she said. Pinned the silver brooch above her heart. Thrift store leaves, caught the light, looked real enough. You look great, Mom, waved me off. I look presentable, that's enough. We sat on the couch, baking show on, I watched her. Carried the weight of the binder, the shell company, Julian's silence. Nervous? She asked. No, ready? She held my gaze. Good. We didn't discuss Alina, didn't mention seating, didn't bring up the word that hadn't been spoken yet, just sat. Side by side, watching a man knead dough like time didn't matter. Mom asleep at 9:15, I covered her, turned off the TV, stood in the dark, listened to her breathe, last quiet night. After tomorrow, nothing between us and the Hayes family would ever be quiet again. The venue sat on 5 acres in West Austin. Valet, stone arches. Ballroom set for 500. White linens, magnolia centerpieces. Stage with podium, projection screen. Mom and I arrived at 6:30. Brooch pinned, I wore a slate dress. Flats, assigned table 12. Near service doors, Sterling family at table 3. Alina took the stage at 7:50. Champagne silk, hair-styled, commanded the room like she owned it. Tonight, she said, we honor those who built us. Slideshow started, black and white photos, Hayes ancestors, garden parties, country club entries, warm captions. Applause after each, Then Alina paused, scanned the room, eyes landed on table 12. Naturally, she said, not everyone here shares our background. Nervous chuckle from Sterling table. Julian at table 4 smiled. Alina lifted her chin, looked at my mother. Green dress, thrift brooch. Woman who'd spent decades navigating community health grants, stretching every dollar. And she said it. That isn't legacy, that's just struggle. Room fractured. Half gasped, half froze. Caroline clapped once, stopped. Sound bounced off rafters. Julian laughed, clear, unmistakable. Alina's laugh followed, polished, decades of practice superiority. 500 heard it, Mom didn't break. Didn't tear up, folded her napkin, placed it on the table, looked at me. Hands trembled slightly. Silver leaves caught light, looked real for a second, no words needed. I breathed, counted to 3, folded my napkin, set it down. Took Mom's hand, we stood, didn't look at Alina, didn't look at Julian, didn't read the room, looked at the exit, walked, measured, steady, heels on tile. Only sound, AC hum and swallowed voices. No one stopped us, no one spoke. Parking lot cool, May in Texas, smelled like mesquite and exhaust, Mom by the car. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Don't, I said, don't you ever apologize for existing. She nodded, lips pressed, phone out, open contacts. Found him called, second ring, Marcus at his desk. Submit it to the state auditor. Pause. Certain? Send it through. Done. Phone away. Helped Mom in. Drove out. Headlights cut dark. Silence. Radio played quiet folk station neither of us picked. By dawn, the Texas State Auditor's Charitable Compliance Division had the binder on a desk in Austin. I sat at Mom's kitchen at midnight, still in dress. Smelled like magnolias and exhaustion that wasn't mine to carry. She brought chamomile. Long silence. If you've ever had to protect someone who couldn't protect themselves, if you've ever made the hardest right choice of your life, drop a comment. Tell me, I want to hear it. Next morning. Phone buzzed 7:22. Julian accidentally added me to family thread. Intended to remove me. Scrolled back. Alina 11:55 p.m. Quite the scene. Aunt 12:03. Can't believe she just walked out. So dramatic. Richard 12:18. Let her cool off. She'll circle back. Julian 12:30, she's blowing it out of proportion. It was barely a comment. Read it 3 times, barely a comment. Called my mother struggle on a stage with a mic. His summary, barely a comment, screenshotted everything, methodical, like any audit trail, scrolled further. Earlier message. Alina to Julian only, forwarded by mistake. Timestamp 6:45 p.m. before event. Keep the outreach worker away from the Sterling donors. I won't have her asking questions again. Outreach worker, not Clara's mom, not future mother-in-law, just a title. Stared at screen, letters blurred. Alina didn't slip. She planned it, seating, tribute, timing. The word was a verdict delivered long before she stepped up. Thread stayed open 3 days. No reply, didn't need one. Had something stronger than a reply, their own words. Julian showed up at my apartment next afternoon. No call, knocks twice, stands in hall, hands in pockets, rehearsed look. We need to talk. Let him in, no coffee, no seating. My mom's heartbroken, he says, let it hang. Your mother called mine struggle on a stage with a microphone. She didn't mean it that way, you know how she gets around donors. She meant it into a mic, there's no spin. Shifts weight. Tone hardens. What did you do? Marcus called my dad's office, mentioned an audit. What I should have done 7 months ago. You went to the state without telling me. I told you, you asked for time, I gave it. You said it was handled, it wasn't. Eyes drop to table, binder sits there, red tabs, stares like hoping it vanishes. You're tearing my family apart. Your family tore mine apart first. Stands 10 seconds, counts, turns. Leaves door open, close it, lock it, click, quiet, aunt worked fast. 48 hours later, spinning narrative, Clara, Austin girl with compliance cert trying to extort trust, fake documents, bitter over delayed wedding. Wants payout, version she omits. $375,000 routed to Alina's maiden account. Clara has 7 months of invoices, 3 binders, patience of someone who ate beans and rice. Phone rings Wednesday. Client pauses work, another cancels. Friend texts, true you're suing for money? Ignores all, goes to work, lunch at desk, files reports. Drives to mom's, kitchen table, chicken and rice. People are talking, mom says. Let them, plates food. You eating? Yes. Eat in silence, don't discuss Alina, don't discuss aunt, don't discuss reputation being dismantled by woman whose only credential is marriage. Aunt had 72 hours of narrative control. Clara had 7 months of routing numbers, 3 binders, quiet resolve. Richard calls Thursday 8:20 a.m., saved as R. Hayes. Voice calm, measured. Clara, we can settle this like professionals. Listening. The accounting discrepancy, corrected. Alina repaid it personally, trust is whole. When? Silence. This week after your filing. Mr. Hayes, filings with the state auditor. Charitable Compliance Division. Longer silence, breath audible. Filed with who? State oversight, they handle nonprofit misappropriation. Unnecessary, voice drops. And vindictive, $375,000 from youth programs isn't a clerical error, it's diversion. You'll regret this. Noted, hangs up, sets phone down, hands steady. Richard knew error line wasn't confusion. Was cover, signed every authorization. Name beside routing to wife's maiden account. Didn't call to negotiate. Called to gauge knowledge, test fear, answers, everything. None, phone silent rest of day. Packs Julian stuff Friday, 1 box. UT hoodie, 2 unfinished books on venture capital. Charger, running shoes, laces tied. Small things that accumulate when life intersects then stops. Ring on nightstand, 2 carat, platinum, a leaner picked it. Told Julian exactly where, what cut, what setting for engagement photos Clara hadn't agreed to yet. Places ring on box, drives to Julian's office. Downtown Austin, glass walls, not a desk, leaves box with receptionist. Note under ring, I cared for you, but I won't sacrifice my integrity for your comfort. Calls twice afternoon, let's go to voicemail. No message left, drives to mom's, opens door, looks at hand, bare, no ring catching light. Doesn't ask, doesn't list red flags cataloged for 14 months, steps aside. Come in, sweetheart, made stew? Eat stew, watch news, mom asleep on couch 9 p.m., cover with blanket, engagement ends Tuesday. State inquiry opens Wednesday. Auditor's charitable compliance unit calls 9:15 a.m. Investigator asks for time, provides everything, routing numbers, Delaware LLC, authorization forms, Richard's signature. 7-month timeline, $125,000 annually from youth trust to maiden account. Investigator listens. Thank you, assigned to active docket. Timeline? Can't say, but documentation is solid. Helps, numbers spoke, always do, don't need mics, need someone willing to read them. Following week small article in Austin Monitor, back section. 4 paragraphs, Hayes Trust under state review. No names, just movement. Doesn't celebrate, works, files reports, eats sandwich, calls mom, asks about tomatoes. Coming in early? Saves some. Always, hangs up, prints article, pins above desk, 4 paragraphs. Page 9 will be front page by end. Alina hires PR firm within 72 hours. Statement, trust welcomes transparency, fully cooperating. Cooperating, used like shield, actually admission. Behind scenes, Alina works phones. Finds out from former employer. HR contact calls Monday. Just so you know, Alina Hayes contacted us last week. Asked for your personnel file. Said reference check. We declined, she wasn't pleased. Thanks HR. Hangs up, Alina searching for dirt. Disciplinary note. Bad review. Anything to discredit woman who found shell company. Won't find it. 7 years, clean record, 2 promotions. 3 days later, mom calls. Got letter from Alina. Handwritten cream paper. Drives over, reads at table. Dear Clara's mother, regret any confusion. Nerves got the better of me that evening. Hope we move forward, family matters. Sincerely, Alina. Reads twice, sets down. Mom. She spelled your name wrong. Mom looks. Clara's mother. Folds, recycles, 14 months. Never learned her name, called her outreach worker, called her struggle. When writing pen to paper, still didn't know it. If that doesn't tell you everything, keep listening. Gets deeper. Georgia Hale calls Tuesday evening. Unknown number. Event coordinator. Worked Hayes Trust dinners 6 years. Heard about state review. Want you to know something? Sits. Okay. Backstage when she said it. Venue records main audio for liability, every speech. Toast, announcement on backup drive, including what she said about your mom. Closes eyes. You have it? Venue does standard. Mic feed to drive, can connect you to manager. Why tell me? Georgia quiet. 6 years of events. Last year, during Youth Awards, Alina humiliated a scholarship kid in front of everyone. Called her a charity case who should be grateful. Kid cried. Nobody spoke. Nobody does. Alina writes checks. People look away. Georgia offers audio written statement to state investigator. Will testify to pattern. 6 years. Watching Alina treat people like props. Should have done this years ago. You're doing it now. Hangs, sits in dark, long time. Venue audio not secret, not arranged. Standard liability. Truth on file whole time. Nobody asked until now. Board meets mid-June. 9 members, state investigator, fluorescent lights, bottled water, quiet tension. Investigator presents findings. 3 years to Oak Ridge, $375,000. 0 employees, 0 services, all routed to maiden account. Room contracts, 2 members resign immediately, collect bags, leave. Had no knowledge. Probably true, that's how diversion works. Hides between people who should be watching. Richard tries, sits far end, navy blazer. This is a family trust, internal matters. Independent chair, retired judge, looks over glasses. Mr. Hayes, your treasurer. Signatures are yours. Face goes gray, not red. Gray, color of a man watching a door close he can't reopen. Alina not in room, asked not to attend. Meeting lasts 3 hours. Vote takes 11 minutes, unanimous, 7-0. Alina removed as chair. Richard removed as treasurer, both stripped of access. Accounts, keys, donor lists effective immediately. Board mandates full referral to state auditor. External auditor hired, 5-year review. Youth programs continue under interim leadership. Kids still served. That matters more than anything in that room. After vote, Georgia describes hallway scene. Alina outside door crying. Not I'm sorry. How dare they? Aunt grips arm. They can't do this to you, you built it. Chin trembles. 21 years and this is how they repay me? Richard stands 10 feet away. Silent, stares at carpet, hands at sides. Like a man at a funeral who forgot whose it is. Binder, original, red tabs intact, sits on conference table inside. Tabs pointing up, marking exact location of collapse. Not in hallway, not in room, at desk. 22 miles away, reviewing quarterly report for client who pays on time. Binder did the work. That's what binders do. Austin Monitor runs it front page. Hayes Trust leadership ousted amid state misappropriation probe. 12 paragraphs, 2 photos. Anonymous board member quoted, Trust was funding a family lifestyle, not youth programs. 500 who sat in that room now know. Woman who called my mother struggle was siphoning from the charity she pretended to run. Phone lights up. Texts from unknown numbers. People from table 6. Table 11, near the bar. I was there. So sorry I stayed quiet. Your mom deserved better. We all should have spoken. Thank you, George's statement referenced. Venue audio confirmed in state file. Alina's words, all 4 of them, now public record. Read article at kitchen table. Same table where I first showed Julian the binder. Same table where mom ate stew night I returned ring. Think about what Alina said on that stage. That isn't legacy, that's just struggle. State auditor called it misappropriation. 500 now know both at once. Wonder which word stings her more. Alina holds press conference late June. PR firm sets up podium in formal living room. Same room where I first ate duck off fine china. 3 local reporters, 2 cameras. Anne arranges white roses on podium. Strange choice for damage control. Not there. Hear about it from Georgia. Reporter friend records on phone. Alina at podium. Cream blazer, hair done, voice steady. Reads prepared statement. This trust has served this community for decades. Programs helped thousands of families. Now one disgruntled ex with a personal agenda. Reporter raises hand. Mrs. Hayes, state office confirmed $375,000 to vendor that doesn't appear to exist. Explain Oak Ridge. Blinks. That is a legitimate consulting firm that provided, registered to account in your maiden name. Delaware LLC has no employees, no record of services rendered. Room stills, mouth opens, closes, fingers grip podium. Tries to laugh, same light sound from dinner, from first meeting, from every moment performance replaced honesty. But this time it fractures, crumbles before finishing. I have nothing further to say at this time. Aunt steps forward, grabs arm. We're done here, family matter. Reporter keeps camera rolling. State doesn't consider $375,000 a family matter. Aunt's face rigid. Stares Alina toward hall. Richard sits back, doesn't stand. Doesn't speak, stares at floor, counting distance between who he was and who he became. Press conference lasts 11 minutes. Footage airs evening news. Julian comes to office next day. No appointment, walks past reception. Stands in doorway, tie loose, eyes red. My mother's facing state action, Clara. Sit down, pen. Here to apologize or blame me for what your mother did? Opens mouth, closes it. Both, I don't know. You laughed, Julian. Flinches. She called my mother's struggle in front of 500 people into a microphone, and you laughed. I was nervous. Everyone was looking. Everyone was looking at my mother. And you picked your mother's side. Marcus at desk behind mine, reviewing file, looks up. That was the call, he says, voice flat, factual. 10:50 p.m., dinner night, 3 words, send it through. I filed with state auditor at 11:20. Julian looks at Marcus, looks at me, jaw works, words won't form. I loved you, he says. I know. Can we? No. Stands in doorway 5 seconds, count them, turns. Walks down hall, doesn't slam door, doesn't shout, just leaves. Way people leave when damage is permanent. Exit is only honest thing left. Pick up pen. Back to spreadsheet. Marcus doesn't speak, doesn't need to. Both seen enough wreckage to know when conversation's over. Julian tells me this later, months later. Voicemail I almost skip. After press conference, a leaner sat in dark living room. Podium removed, roses wilting. Richard moved things to guest house that morning. Aunt stopped answering phone. A leaner sat in leather chair. Told Julian something she'd never told anyone. When I was 16, she said, your grandmother worked at a laundromat on Elm Street in Waco. Pressed shirts for $4.25 an hour. I swore I'd never go back. Julian waited. Your father's family looked at me the way I looked at your mom, like I was something to tolerate. A project? Then why didn't you stop? Julian asked. Because if I stopped, I'd have to admit I was still that girl from the laundromat, and I couldn't. Not apology. Confession wrapped in self-pity. A leaner understood mechanics. Replicated exact cruelty done to her. Could name it, trace lineage, just couldn't take responsibility for continuing it. Still that dark room, girl from laundromat. 61, still running from woman who pressed shirts. Felt something when Julian played that voicemail. Not forgiveness, something smaller, recognition. Like understanding why building collapsed without forgiving engineer who cut corners. A leaner human doesn't make her less accountable. 2 a.m. Phone lights up nightstand. Julian almost don't answer. Thumb hovers over red, then pick up, voice hoarse, worn to whisper. I knew, he says. I knew about the money. I was scared. Sit up, pull blanket. I know you were. Should have told you truth 3 months ago. Should have gone to board myself. Should have. You should have done a lot of things, Julian. Long silence, breathing audible. Sound of someone sitting alone in room that used to hold certainty. I loved you, Clara. I know. What do I do now? Stare at ceiling. Streetlight throws pale bar across wall. Watch it flicker as car passes below. I can't answer that for you anymore. Doesn't argue, doesn't beg, just breathes. Good night, Clara. Good night, Julian. Hang up, phone face down, lie in dark, listen to fridge hum. Don't hate Julian, would have been easier. Hate has momentum, direction. Target, gets you out of bed with purpose. What I feel is quieter, sadder. Grief you carry for someone who had everything needed to be brave, chose not to be, not villain, coward, sometimes worse. Because cowards leave you wondering what could have been if they'd just stood up once. Don't sleep. But I'm at peace. Texas State Auditor reaches settlement in September. A leaner repays full $375,000 plus $80,000 civil penalty. No criminal charges, first offense. Full cooperation after board removal. Willingness to repay. Attorney General accepts it. I accept it too. Prison never point. Trust restructures. New independent board. External auditor. Mandatory annual reviews. Youth programs continue. Summer camps reopen. Kids who depended on that money keep receiving it. Only outcome that mattered. Richard and a leaner remain married. Surprises nobody who understands their relationship is contract, not partnership. Hayes' name comes off letterhead. Now Austin Community Youth Foundation. A leaner's photo removed from newsletter. Aunt stops posting social media. Not seen at country club since June. Gossip network weaponized against me goes quiet. Not because people forget. Because story she told turned out opposite of truth. Nobody wants attached to lie that made front page. Julian resigns from trust. sells Round Rock condo, moves to Denver, takes position at smaller nonprofit, nothing to do with family name, doesn't call, don't expect him to, clients return. 2 who paused during Ant's campaign come back without explanation. 2 former trust board members refer colleagues to my firm. Reputation, turns out, stronger than 72 hours of gossip. October, Sunday morning. Texas air turns sharp. Clean, way it does when summer finally lets go. Drive to Mom's, she's in garden, kneeling in dirt, gloves, trowel. Tomato plants she mentioned in June finished now. Bare stalks, dried leaves. But Mum's blooming purple and gold. Line walkway like small parade, wears green dress. Same one from dinner night, repurposed for church. Silver brooch pinned above heart. Mom, I'm sorry you went through that. She looks up. Brushes dirt off knees, stands. I've been through worse. And you were there this time. She goes inside, makes coffee. I stay in garden. Minute, look at Mum's. Feel October air move through bare spots where tomatoes used to be. Keep that brooch now. Sits in small box on desk next to procurement certificate and framed photo of Mom at graduation. One where she's squinting into sun. Holding my diploma like it weighs more than it does. $9. Thrift store clearance. Silver leaves on bronze clasp, that's what real dignity costs. Never trade your quiet for their noise. She was right. I didn't owe them my peace, but I owed her everything. Here's what I learned. People who label others as less are usually hiding the messiest ledgers. And the quietest person in the room isn't always the weakest. Sometimes she's the one holding the binder. That's my story. One dinner, one call. And a mother who deserved better than a thrift brooch and a seat near the service doors. If you've ever protected someone who couldn't protect themselves, share this, drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.